We all good? Okay, then let's get rolling. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, and welcome to the Board of Adjustment meeting today, December 13th. We're going to call this meeting to order. Let's first start by taking a roll call. Jamie?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Mead?
Here.
Ms. Rathburn? Here. Mr. Stressaw is absent. Mr. Wolf?
Here.
And Mr. Hagopian?
Here.
And Chair Hoffman.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. And before we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to have D. Wayne and Mohammed, if you'd like to introduce yourselves and your team.
Good afternoon, D. Wayne Spence, Deputy City Attorney.
Good afternoon, Muhammad Malik, Zoning Administrator.
James Hollingsworth, Zoning Department, and to my left is Michael Rinkus, also Zoning Department.
Thank you, guys. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So everybody, please stand. Bob, if you could lead us.
Make sure the flag is in the rear. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make if anybody has a motion for the approval of the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Each person from a member of the public that wishes to speak after each item is presented and discussed by the board will have 3 minutes per items. Representatives of the association and groups will have 5 minutes. Jamie, if you could swear everybody in.
Anyone who intends to speak, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give at this public hearing will be truthful and accurate? Yes. Thanks.
Okay, in that case, let's start our first case, which I believe is asking for a deferment. Case number 230-70003, 1201 Bayview Court. Is a representative here? Okay. Seeing none, do we have any other communication as far as the deferment? Were they told not to show up? This is for 1201 Bayview.
No, I'm not aware of that. It has come to my attention that they have also failed to provide the affidavit of notice of posting, which would make it a defective hearing anyway. So I would recommend that the board defer the item.
Okay. So what would be your recommendation, Mr. Attorney?
That you defer the item to the next board meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Let's do a roll call just to be sure.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Mead?
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn? Yes. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Hagopian?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And Chair Hoffman.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Next case, case number 230-70004, address 212 Southeast 12th Avenue. If the applicant could come up to the microphone, and I'm going to ask for any disclosures. So we'll start with you, Milton.
No, I don't have any.
Doug?
No.
Jason?
No.
Bob?
No.
Caldwell?
Been by the property.
Pat?
I think this is the one in Cooley Hammock, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Jackie Scott called me about this one.
Okay. And I had actually...
And I spoke in general terms with Wayne about legal issues earlier today.
Thank you. And I was actually driven by the property once again. So do we have the applicant here? Okay. If you could please come up to the microphone. I'm going to ask you to state your name, relation to the property. If you're both going to speak, then please both. And please speak to the microphone because it is being recorded. Oops, one more moment. Third time's the charm.
My name is Eduardo Torrente. I'm the architect in charge of the designer with Mrs. Ayinpur, she's the client.
And I'm Zoya Hajiampur, the owner of the property.
Okay, for, also just in disclosure and in our package, I believe that there was a couple opposition letters as well, or at least some more information that came in. Sorry, it may not have been opposition letters, it may have just been more information submitted. Okay, but if you'd like to, please state your case since the last time, since some were here, some were not.
Can we show some slides? Yeah.
Of course.
Thanks. Let me try to. Thanks. Okay, so, well, this is a property, like everybody I think knows. There's some pictures of the actual state of the property. In the yellow line is the current house. The blue line, it's the yard of the house. Is the current the same as the last one, but this is in 3D. And this is the current blueprint, like the floor print of the house. In the blue line, you can see the setbacks of what the code says. And this is the house that we want to submit, that we want to build. And this is the two floor prints of the existing house and the proposed house. As you can see, there's no difference in the area. The only three differences is the yellow ones, which is the one that we're going to demolish. So in the north neighbor, that piece of building actually is not conforming, so we just take down and make it straight, so make it better to them. And the blue one in the bottom part is just an addition that we did. So I want to show these because in the last, in the 25th of September that we were here, the discussion was, okay, the house is too big, there was too many things, but what we want to do is go straight to what is the point of the variance. So here it is. The variance is just focused in this right side, in that blue line in the L. So why are we applying for the variance? Because the actual structure is in no well shape. We need to demolish the roof and also repair the whole floor because the floor have different levels and it's broken. But we want to build in the same area that we were. The rest of the house is inside the code because the north part is inside, like it's an actual house. So, and we don't have any problems in structure right there. So it's just in that corner. And this was the old floor plan that we presented to you the 21st of September. And these were the three conclusions that we were talking about that day, or that we understand that that was the conclusion. So reduce as much as we can the house and try to be nearby the setbacks. So we did in this corner, and this one is the only that we are not. But just to remind that we're in the same floor plan of the old house. So this was the old one that we present, and the blue one is the one that we're presenting today. We try to adjust, reduce as much as we can, but we still have in that little corner that we show you. So here's some elevations that I want to show you. The 16 one and the proposing one. I put it in the red line, the setback, so we're in the same size here. Here we're, green means better. That means this part. So we go back a little bit. And that blue is the one that we can do it. It was this one. Just go back a little bit. This one here. So we don't have any problem right there. This one is the same, but in the other side. And this one is the other one that is still the same. So this one is a 3D, like Apple Maps that we can see of the current house. And this one is the one that we're going to build, or we want to. I did some sketches or schematic concept things because there were some rumors about Mrs. High and Poor wants to do an Airbnb or a hotel or something like that, and we get all that information. And I think she sent a couple copies to a couple of groups and neighbors and everybody, and here the board. And as you can see, the floor print is a basic house with 3 rooms, 1 big kitchen. It's a really family house for her and her husband. So, and the main concept of the project was to give in a life to a good property historically and have a better shape rather than it's right now. And we want to keep that huge garden. This one, I will speak higher, is this area. So we don't want to go to that corner and build something in front of that corner. We want to keep it in the same way that it is. It's a huge garden, have a huge tree right there. And we want to keep it the same difference that we have with the other neighbors as we have in the blueprint, in the floor plans, and also same elevation of the other neighbors that are just right there. 1 floor, same elevation. These are some renderings. So you can see the 4 houses beside. So here's the east side.
With the neighbors.
Yeah, this is the east side of the neighbor, just 1 floor. Also here one, same level. And this facade is the one that is from the corner. So I want everybody to see the rendering, how it will look, even though those are the colors that Mrs. Soya wants to be really respectful with the neighbor. And that's it.
I know there's going to be some questions. I'm going to ask that you just say pretty close. We're going to give anybody from the public the opportunity.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, first. Thank you so much. We'll be back with you. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak? Okay, if you could please come up and have you come to the microphone, speak into it, and state your name, relation to the property.
Good evening. My name is Joe Felmuth. I am the neighbor, and I'm also president of Beverly Heights Neighborhood Association. A few thoughts on this. First of all, I think at the September meeting, this was deferred till December, and they were instructed to talk to the neighborhood and come up with a better plan. I do appreciate getting copies about a week, 10 days ago from Zoya when she passed me in the street, but there was no dialogue about changing anything. It was just here, here it is. So, there was no working sessions or any or communication. The neighborhood, we've discussed this at the last 3 HOA meetings, and we are opposed to this because it is a non-conforming existing building. So whereas it's being presented that there's only a couple little corners that are, they're asking a variance, it's non-conforming, so that section, which is next to the neighbors, is like 2.8 feet from the property line, where it should be 15 because they're doing more than 50%, has to be brought up to modern codes. This diagram, there's windows here, there's bedrooms there. It's not a blank wall that's as it's shown on the neighbor's house. So, there's a precedent that we're, as a neighborhood, we don't want to set a precedent. There is no hardship here. It's for convenience, and we don't want to set a precedent that anybody that buys a parcel, that they say, hey, we want to build something different, and we want you to ease the setbacks. We are under a lot of redevelopment in the neighborhood, and if we allow people to change that, that's a slippery slope there for all further people that are buying and redeveloping. There's reasons why we have setbacks, of course. You don't want fire to come over. There's noise, there's privacy issues, there's sun. So we don't, although we'd like to see redevelopment, we'd like to see it with a dialogue, and we'd like to see it with, more in accordance with our existing zoning. We're also very concerned that if the setbacks were granted, this is a 80, 90-year-old wooden structure. It looks, it's wood 2x4 with stucco on it. And if anybody's had any experience with Florida buildings here made out of 2x4 with stucco and flat roofs, you know that there's going to be a host of problems. I doubt any architect or contractor would work and add on and modify 80, 90-year-old structure like that. What we're afraid of is that once, if they got the adjustment, then it would all of a sudden come to light when construction began that, oh, we can't save any of the existing, here's our new plan for a new structure. So that's kind of a concern there. I also talked to Jackie Scott, and Coley Hammock is also opposed to this.
Okay, Joe, while you're up there, and just for the record, we do have a copy of the opposition letter from the association, but there may be some questions for you, so rather than have you come up and back, we will leave time for the respondent to have rebuttal, but does anybody have any questions for association?
Joe, in as much as.
You put on the microphone, Milton,
Okay.
even though you are good
Okay.
voice.
In as much as you did not get a chance to speak with the property owner, if you had a chance to speak with her, would you still have the same objections?
If we could have worked jointly to maybe modify this somewhat, especially on the side facing the neighbor, myself, and got more of a setback, the neighborhood would like to see this building redeveloped. It's an eyesore right now. So we don't want to stop it, but we don't want it impinging. So yeah, if we could have worked together and there was compromise, that would have been our hope.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the public wishing to speak? You'll have time at the end. Anybody else? Okay, with that in mind, public hearing is closed. We're going to have the applicant come back up again, and I'm sure there's going to be some questions from the board. So if anybody has any questions from the board before we bring it to internal board discussion, by all means. We're not usually a quiet bunch.
I mean, I don't know if it's for me as a question or just more of a comment, but I'm encouraged to see that you have reduced the number of variances from the last meeting. And I honestly think the architectural style that you're putting in to replace this kind of odd covered porch that's there, to me is a big improvement for the neighborhood versus what's there. And I'm happy that you're staying within the existing footprint of your existing non-compliant home and reducing some of the area that's actually outside or further into the setbacks. You know, I think for us seeing projects like this, you know, yes, sure, like it would be great to have the whole thing torn down and a brand new house put there within the current, you know, in the current setbacks, but this is the owner of this home, and they're making improvements that will probably be more sustainable, more structurally better than the rest of the home. So I'm happy to, for me, I think I'm really happy that you listened to what we had said last time, what the board had said. I was actually sitting as an alternate, but, and worked with staff to reduce the number of variances to make your current non-conforming home, because pretty much most of your home it's non-conforming. But I'm happy to see that you are making improvements within the same footprint, and I think overall the design is a big enhancement. I like how you've left some of the elements of design that are there from the initial structure, but I'm happy to see that you're not trying to go further into the setbacks. And for me, this is a good example of when you work with staff and you can kind of come up with a happier medium here. I think you've done a good job, at least, of satisfying some of the requirements that you can within the limits of your non-conforming home.
Okay, Doug, did you have a question?
I'm just curious, the higher part, how high is that roof, the square-ish? 12 feet, 14 feet, 20 feet?
Actually, the maximum which is allowed by the code is 35 feet. So I'll repeat what I just said. Actually, the maximum that we have for the code is 35 feet, but the 35 feet is almost 2 floors, so we're just on 1 floor. So there's no 2 floors. I will double check it.
It's 15 to the,
Yeah.
to the top of the roof.
Thank you.
Okay.
15 some change.
The highest part, which is just. Yes. And this one, the rest is lower.
Okay. Does anybody else have a question of the applicant? Pat?
Oh, well, actually, it's not of the applicant, it's just, it may be of the applicant. First of all, I want to understand, the notes on the agenda say that they reduced the number of variances that they're requesting, but they added 4736B3, and that's the one that wasn't there last time?
Yes, so what has happened, just to give you an explanation, they came back with the original plan was they were adding new structures, in the nonconformity. They were adding much more to the nonconformity. And, once the board said, to go back and redraw it. So this time they came back with a different plan, removing all new structure which was being added. They removed, they made it like zero, which was the new which was being added. To the existing ones, actually, they removed, even to the existing one non-conforming, they reduced the non-conformity by there is a small portion projecting out. They want to remove it and bring it into non-compliance. So that's why now, because if that was the case and they got for the original variance, they could just got the setback variances and they would have been totally in compliance, right? So now there is no new structure being added, only the existing, which was the existing structure. They are going to basically beef up the balls, make it a little higher, and put basically new roof on it. New trusses and new roof, basically on the original size of the area. And so that's why the code sections changed when they.
Okay, by keeping it where it is, as it is, and fixing it, it goes over the 50% threshold.
That's correct.
Okay.
So, they were doing it because they need to get into the, I think because of the Florida building code and all that,
Right.
to strengthen it, they need to get into that compliance, so.
Okay, and I just want to confirm that and I'm looking at this, that the only two variances you're looking at is the rear setback, which currently the building is at 2.8 feet? Currently it's 2.8 feet, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So essentially you're asking to be allowed to keep it at 2.8 feet. You're not changing.
So,
Here's
remember,
the-
just to let you know, there is a reason why I have put it as per the provided plans you see in there. Because what we meant was they cannot, this is the plans which you're approving, the variance will be according to this plan. And the provided plans.
Okay, but where you have, where's the code, to reduce the rear setback to 2.8 feet of an existing structure where the code requires a minimum setback of 15 feet. The 2.8 is because that's what's there now.
That's correct.
Right, okay, and is it the same thing on the second part of it, the requesting a variance to the east corner to 11 feet 7 where the code requirement was 25? The 11.7 is existing?
That's correct.
Okay, so they're not building out any further than the existing footprint.
That's
Is that
correct. Actually, they are reducing from the existing footprint.
Because of that yellow piece at the top.
At the, on the back side.
Okay.
And even on the two street sides, I think total reduction request of 3 feet, that's.
So what they're asking for is to be allowed to do whatever they're gonna do to this building within the existing footprint.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Pat?
That's it.
Caldwell?
I just wanted, because it had been confusing. It was.
Thank you.
I actually have two questions. I'm going to start with the homeowner. Ma'am, what is your intended use of this property?
We want to retire in it,
And where do you currently reside?
in 10th Avenue.
10th Avenue, is there an address?
in Fort Lauderdale, 2 blocks from this house.
Okay, do you have a physical address? 10th Avenue is a really long road.
26 Southeast 10th Avenue.
26 Southeast 10th Avenue. Okay, and what is, so you're gonna want to rebuild this house and you're gonna live there?
Moved there, yes.
Okay, I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mohammed, so I understand this because it's been real convoluted. What we have is a legal, non-conforming structure as it sits today. Correct?
Can you repeat it, what you just said?
We have a legal, non-conforming structure as it sits today.
That's correct.
We're gonna go over the 50% rule, which would tell us literally we have to come up to everyday code. And we're not asking for a variance of a couple feet. We're asking for a variance of well over 10 feet on 2 different sides. Am I correct?
On 2 sides? No,
Well, we
No.
have, we're at 2.8 on one side, and there's a setback on the second side, correct? On the side yard setback, was it?
I know 2.8 on the back side.
Uh-huh. If you're to come to today's code, we had 15 on one
Yeah.
side and 25
Yeah,
on the other.
on the east side, the required setback is 14.7, which is the southeast 12th Avenue side.
Uh-huh.
14.7 is required, and they are providing 11.7,
Okay,
which is on the street
I
side.
got it, thank you. So that's the gist of the whole thing of,
That's what they're asking.
because it got really convoluted at the last meeting, that we're not going to encroach any further than we have encroached. And you're looking at this property differently than legal non-conforming, hey, we're already way into the setback, now we're going to hit the 50% rule, and we want to keep what we have. So at what point does the code truly kick in? What's the point of the 50% rule if we can come to the nuisance abatement board? Not saying that she's not going to do a lavish job at the house, and I'm not poo-pooing the project, but I'm trying to understand in my own head of what are we doing here? Does anybody have the ability to come up before the Board of Adjustment and say, hey, I have a legal non-conforming, I'm going to break the 50% rule, and I want, instead of at what point are we going to meet the guidelines of the code? That's my concern. So am I missing something here, or am I accurate in what I'm saying?
Dwayne Spence, Deputy City Attorney. The requesters have a burden to prove to you that there's a hardship for which they're seeking a variance from the code requirement. So they're alleging, and it's their duty to prove to you that it's creating a hardship for them to keep this a non-conforming use without making improvements beyond the 50%.
Correct. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Doug.
So just for clarification, except for the setbacks, they have to bring the rest of the structure up to current code, correct?
No, in the present state, if they maintain the property in its legal non-conforming use, they are able to keep that structure there. If they look to improve that structure beyond 50% of its current value, they need to bring the site completely up to today's code. And what they're saying is that they plan to make improvements beyond 50% of the value of the property, but do not want to conform with today's code and are asking you to waive that requirement in order to do what they're presenting to you as their plans for the property.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the question again. If I could just get a different answer that's clearer.
Okay.
They are presenting plans to us of what they want to do. They are going to do major construction, and they want a variance on the size of what they're doing to be within the footprint of what they presented. But as far as the work they're doing, are they bringing the rest of the house up to code, or they do not have to do that? They gave us plans of what they're planning on doing. You said the variance is tied to these plans. So are they leaving half the house and just doing a little bit of work, or are they bringing the whole thing up to code?
At this time, I haven't seen the whole structural plans or like that. I know for in the non-conforming area, they have to replace the whole roof on that area. That's what we know, and that's what we went by. You know, within the conforming area, that's not an issue, you know, so we do not go there. Because they can do whatever they want to, you know, in the conforming area. They don't need to come here and they don't need to discuss with us. This was only the discussion of the non-conforming area. That's why they are here to seek the variance, which, you know, to the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Clear, Doug? We're going to leave you a moment just for last thoughts, and we're going to bring it back to the board. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I just want to say just one thing more, just to clarify, because I thought that it was a confusion. The yellow part of the house is conforming area, is the current house, it's okay. The pink one is the one that is not conforming because of damage in the structure. So we want to build same pink area, but in a new structure. That's the main difference. I don't know if it's clarify your question.
Okay. Thank you.
And last thing, I want to answer, because I take some notes, because I want to everybody like get an answer, what they said. So not conforming area, because I think that you were talking about the whole house is not conforming, but as I just said, the yellow part is conforming, the pink one is not conforming. So just to clarify that, and there's a difference between the old house and the new one. New one now again is the same one. We don't want to touch the yard. We want to keep the same way. That's the main one. And that's it. Just to remember that that corner is the main thing. Just keep our footprint the same as it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, public hearing is closed. You can be seated. Let's bring it back to the board for any discussion or any votes.
I have one more question. Mohammed, maybe. The value, based on the plans I've submitted, you've determined, not you, but you know, generally you all, have determined that the improvements that they're planning are more than 50% of the value of the
No,
property?
I don't think probably, if the owner can correct me or the owner, the value probably can come underneath is just the area of the non-conforming structure. The value, I think, of the property is much higher than what they're trying to do nowadays. You know, the property values are way too high, and you know, the value is just the square footage, you know, which they're trying to work on.
Okay, so, and again, I'm sorry to sound stupid about this, but 50%, it says requesting a variance to allow repair, et cetera, as needed to the existing non-conforming structure by more than 50% of the total gross floor area. So the new stuff that they're adding is equal to 50% of
Not the new stuff. The existing house, that's where they are going back. They are removing the roof of the non-conforming area and they are installing it. They are doing the windows on the exterior wall. They are doing that. So the 50% of the non-conforming area, they are removing the roof on it and they're redoing everything on that non-conforming area. That's where the 50% is kicking in.
Okay, I mean.
See, it's
I
very,
mean, I'm reading this.
I know, believe me, you know.
Conforming structure, okay, so could you put up, sir, could you put up the picture with the yellow and the? Yeah, okay, so you're saying to allow repair and replacement as needed to the existing non-conforming structure, which is all that yellow part.
No, yellow part.
pink part.
Yes, pink.
Okay, it's pink, okay, by more than 50% of the total gross floor area of what, the pink or the yellow? Or the total?
So
Now I've
I wasn't a
confused
part,
you.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I haven't been a part of these discussions, but if a portion of the structure is non-conforming, the complete structure is considered legal non-conforming.
Right,
And you
okay.
calculate the 50% based on that entire structure.
Okay, so the entire structure is the yellow and the pink. We are all agreed on that?
Yes.
Okay, so this says is that they want to repair or by more than 50% of the total gross floor area. So the yellow and the pink together is 100. And they want to do 51 based on the square footage.
Yes, on the plans, whatever is shown on the plans to us.
Okay, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then
Thank you.
then finally I understand. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, and we do have two different variances, by the way.
Yeah, I was looking for it. Probably should read those out. Oh, there they are. Thank you. Section 47-3.6, change of structure, damage, destruction, or removal of structure, and section 47-5.33, table of dimensional requirements for the RC 15 and RC 15 district.
Okay, and you're requesting and taking them together?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and second. Discussion.
I guess the only thing I'm disappointed in is that I think there was a great opportunity for work with, I'm a big proponent of neighborhood associations and those folks, and I don't think they did.
Okay, and Caldwell, your light's on, anything else to add?
Oh, no, it's just for the purpose of voting, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jones? Yes. Mr. Mead?
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Hagopian?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
No.
And Chair Offman?
Yes, motion passes. Okay, let's go on to our next case.
Wait.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
We can wait.
Wait, before the motion passes, this might be a motion to consider or something along those lines. I am remiss in not adding what I really felt should be a part of this, if we granted it, because I didn't make the motion. And that is that it should be for this structure only. And that if, when they get into construction, whoops, a wall falls down, they don't get to rebuild that wall 2.8 feet from the property line. So I would like to see if we could, since I'm on the prevailing side, I would like to see if we could add something to that motion to tie it to this particular structure. Because otherwise, this goes with the land, and the next, they can tear it down.
The motion's already passed.
But they can tear it down and build this at 2.8 feet.
Well, and I think there's also a question about enforceability on that.
You can't tie.
Yeah. For educational
Chair,
purposes, Mohammed.
For education purposes, see, as ma'am here, you're saying, Mr. Alban, that it might happen. So that's why, we don't know, when they start building. There are things which could happen, but they can't go beyond what was approved at 2.8 feet. But that's why I said, this is the plans, this is what they have to build back to. They can't go further than that. And that's why usually if you see in variances, we do not say as per plans, shown plans. But here, we have attached the plans to the variance saying, this is what you can do max.
Well, that should have been part of the motion then.
It's a moot point right now.
Well, if I.
Well, hang on a second. Dwayne, is that still enforceable as part of the motion because that's the way it was written? Or does that have to be said?
It wasn't part of the motion.
No, but
It's part of the submittal.
The maker of the motion would have to.
this says this, as per provided plans.
But they didn't. Without stating that, The motion stands as it's been approved and stated on the record.
Okay, so which does not include per the plans, which was the intention of the staff.
That's correct. So you would typically state as conditions or some or language to that effect.
And you're not willing to reconsider this motion?
Okay. In that case,
And also,
go ahead,
can I
Jamie.
ask a question? He specifically referred to section 4736B3, but there are two other variances for under 47533. Does that matter?
47.533 wasn't mentioned in the motion?
It was not.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
No, just, what, are you saying that you said 47533 and?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear it. Okay.
Okay. In that case, we're going to go to the next one. Case number 231-00004. If not, please state your name, relation to the property.
I do not have any slides. My name is Matthew Boone. I work for Southeast Sign Company, and I am the applicant and agent for the owner of F3 Marina. So I'll start off by reading just a little bit. I do want to thank all board members and staff for being here tonight. Thank you. We are requesting a variance for a proposed sign on the east elevation of the F3 Marina structure, which is not abutting any streets or vehicle travel ways, whereas the code requires signs shall be limited and oriented to be viewed from streets and vehicle travel ways abutting the parking lot. Section 47-22.4A1, the maximum number of signs at one location and special requirements and zoning districts. Technically, this property only abuts one street or travel way. That would be 16th Street. It is a very large building. I'm sure most of you have seen it. It is approximately 135 feet tall. It is a dry boat storage. They currently have two signs on the property. According to code, buildings that are abutting one street or one travel way are allowed two signs. One of those can be a ground sign. They currently have a wall sign at the very top of the building on the south elevation facing the main travel way. It's separated by about 600 feet from 17th Street. It's that far set back. In between that is a shopping plaza. Kind of hard to see with cars driving really fast down there. They also do have a small post and panel ground or monument sign right in front of the entrance to the building, kind of identifying the entrance area. So we are requesting an additional sign to mirror or match the existing sign that is already there on the east elevation. Reason being is even though they have one sign facing the main street or travel way, we are trying to consider that for this business at least, the canal that's directly behind it should be considered as a travel way. According to the city, it is not. State registered vehicles travel up and down that waterway, and most of the clientele is not going to be traveling on the streets. It's also a perfect wayfinding. I'm not sure if there's any boaters out here, but you know, if you've been on the water before sunrise or after sunset, it gets pretty dark. Not all boats are equipped with lights. This building is just over half a mile set back from the mouth of that canal, which makes it very, very difficult to see from a distance. It kind of blends into the skyline during the day. The building's white, it makes it really hard to see. So the proposed sign that we are talking about, I said, would match the existing sign on the south elevation. Excuse me. The existing sign is 15 feet 4 inches in height and 43 feet 6 inches in length. So that would be the same thing that we would be proposing on the east elevation. And the reason it would be so large is because it is set back so far. That's why the sign on the south elevation is that large. It's set back about 600 feet from 17th Street. Other than that, the colors would remain the same. The sign has perforated vinyl on the front, orange and blue. Perforated meaning that at nighttime, it would shine through white, so it wouldn't be any crazy colors or anything like that.
Anything else?
That is pretty much it.
Okay. I'm sure there's going to be questions, so don't go too far.
Yep.
I was remiss on asking for disclosures, so let me go down and ask for them now. Milton?
Don't have any.
Doug?
No.
Jason?
None.
Okay, I did a site visit. Bob?
None.
Caldwell?
Site visit.
And Pat?
None.
Okay, thank you. So is there anybody from the public wishing to speak? Please come up, state your name, relation to property.
for 1/2 of a mile on both sides. They should have an opportunity to testify. You have started receiving emails from several homeowners who only had 1 day's notice of this meeting. As the president of the affected civic association, I am asking you to defer consideration of this application until after the next regularly scheduled meeting of the civic association on January 3, 2024. We will invite the applicant to attend. However, regarding the issue before you tonight, you should be aware of the following history. In the summer of 2018, the property owner was granted a site plan level 2 conditional use marina waterway use and parking reduction. Copy is in your packet that I gave you. On behalf of the Civic Association, I testified at the P&Z meeting, and our concerns regarding neighborhood compatibility were incorporated into the P&Z approval of the site plan, also in your packet. P&Z conditions specifically related to this variance, the P&Z conditions that relate to this variance, concern operational issues, lighting, and signage at the dry dock marina. They are, number 1, the hours of operation will be limited to 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. Note, the facility is not permitted to operate at night. Number 2, internal lights within the building will be turned off during non-operational hours of the facility. Note, the operator is not allowed to light up the building at night and disturb the neighbors. Number 3, no signage will be placed on the north side of the building, which is the canal side. Note, P&Z anticipated that signs are permitted on the waterway side and specifically prohibited them. F3 Marina rents boat dockage on an annual basis. They do not accommodate transients. Boat owners know where the marina is. They don't need an additional illuminated sign visible from the intercoastal to get them home. The canal is one of the widest in the city. Pursuant to the site plan conditions, they don't operate at night. We understand from current tenants that they are fully occupied. The applicant has not provided any evidence to the contrary. And I would like to address specifically the findings that you are being asked to make, if I may. Number 1, special conditions and circumstances affect the property at issue which prevent reasonable use of the property. Our comment is, the applicant's comments, our comment is there are no special conditions or circumstances affecting the property. The applicant voluntarily located his marina at the end of the canal, which is one of the widest in the area. The marina does not operate at night. The boat owners who dock there are annual renters who know where their boats go. And the applicant has a very reasonable use of his property. The profitability of the business is not at issue here, and the applicant has submitted no information regarding his profitability. Next one, circumstances which cause the special conditions are peculiar to the property at issue. Our comment is, first, there are no special conditions peculiar to this property. There are similar commercial and marine properties all along the canal, one immediately adjacent to this property. They are not requesting variances to have signs advertising their brand and location, and there's no evidence they are not as profitable. C, literal application of the provisions would deprive the applicant of a substantial property right that is enjoyed by no other property owners. And it should be noted specifically, there is no importance to this criteria that the denial of the variance would deny the owner a more profitable use Okay? Our comment is the applicant's comments are, application is non-responsive. The applicant is not deprived of substantial property rights enjoyed by other property owners. The applicant and other property owners can avail themselves of all rights permitted in the district. That the applicant thinks this sign will increase the profitability of his business is specifically not a consideration. There is, and the next one is the unique hardship. It has self-created, okay? The applicant's owner was, the owner of the property was very aware of the limitations related to signage and nighttime illumination when the site plan approval was granted. The ULDR limitation on signs not facing the street or the travelway were in the resolution and have not been changed. There's no reason why he didn't know what was going on. And the variance, the last one is the variance is a minimum variance that will make possible reasonable use of the property. And we maintain this is certainly not the minimum variance possible to allow the applicant a reasonable use of his property. The ULDR and site plan approval already allows the applicant a very reasonable use of his property. The variance is not in harmony with the general use and purpose of the ULDR, which prohibits signage that is not on a street. The variance is certainly not in harmony with the P&D site plan approval, which prohibits the building from being illuminated at night. Both protect the property rights and quality of life of adjacent property owners. The proposed illuminated sign is incompatible with the surrounding neighborhood. It is also detrimental to the public welfare, as it sets a bad precedent for all similarly situated properties in the city that are located on canals along the intercoastal to request similar illuminated signs to direct boaters to their businesses. On the basis of these findings, I would urge you to deny this variance request and remind you again that the Harbordale Civic Association, however, is willing to invite the property owner to our next
And Matthew, you're by yourself today.
Not aware that I needed to make anyone else in the community aware, other than sending out my letters.
Thank you. Do you have any, I'm just going to ask this, do you have anybody else that's attending with you that can address that question? Or is that all fall on your shoulders at the moment?
I believe that would fall on my shoulders at the moment. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fair enough. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions of the applicant?
Statement.
Okay, if you would, just microphone, please.
Bob Wolf, would it be wise to maybe discuss with the property owner that maybe you should meet with the homeowners association prior, maybe ask for a slight deferment? Not that anything's going to change, but at least to make an effort to explain what you're doing to your neighbors.
That would be a possibility, yes.
And if you're going to ask for that deferment, I would suggest you ask for that very quickly.
Motion to defer.
Okay.
Chairman,
Then if you're
motion.
asking, then let's bring it back. Thank you. You can be seated. And we'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion. If not, we can entertain a motion. And Bob, microphone.
Mr. Chair, I move to defer this item to the next scheduled board meeting of the Fort Lauderdale Board of Adjustment.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion on this?
Chair?
Okay. Yes.
Can we have them come back in February 2024 as opposed to January 10th meeting?
Do we have a long agenda on January?
No.
Yes, we do.
Chair, also what happens is that most of the time, what is happening is that the deadlines where we have to meet, the advertisement, this and that, we are
That's okay,
under so
Mohammed.
much pressure.
Now that you mention it, they did mention when they're going to have their civic association meeting, so February would fall better in line anyway.
Great, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Bob, so you want to amend that to February?
Yes, a minute to February. Everybody happy with that? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so our motion and our second both happy with through February. Okay, Jamie?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Mr. Mead?
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn?
No.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Hagopian?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
And Chair Offman?
Yes.
6-1 passed.
Okay, motion passes. See you in February. Okay, next case. Case number 23110003, City of Fort Lauderdale. Applicant Ronnie Hall. And if you please just state your name, relation to the property.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ronnie Hall. I'm the owner of Salad Boss, and I have with me Samantha Porter. She's my COO. So thank you, everyone, for having me this evening. First and foremost, proud to be a resident of the Sistrunk Corridor, and I'm opening a...
I'm sorry, Ronnie, now that you're saying that, I did forget once again, I was remiss. I did want to see any disclosures.
Okay.
So if I could ask, apologize for that.
No, no problem.
Milton?
Don't have any.
Okay, Doug?
No.
Jason? No. Bob?
No.
Caldwell?
Site visit.
Pat?
None.
And I had a site visit as well. I'm sorry, please go right ahead.
No, thank you. So I'm opening up a salad bistro right here in the YMCA building. As I said before, I'm a resident of the Sistrunk Corridor. First and foremost, I just wanted to bring healthy eating options to our neighborhood. Like I said, I live right across the railroad tracks. So it's important to bring that awareness to our community. Along with that, we do intend to have beer and wine as alcoholic beverages, but currently there is there's an exception, a variance of 305 feet because we are directly neighbored with New Hope Baptist Church. We have a very strong relationship with the YMCA, the New Hope pastor, and his fellow deacons and congregation. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department is in our breezeway, as well as some of the other tenants who are supportive of our decision to serve alcoholic beverages, strictly beer and wine. Safety is of the utmost importance. I don't know if you're familiar, but the YMCA currently has security guards that are constantly roaming from 7 p.m. up until 7 a.m. the following morning. We will have private security as well inside, where we've minimized the serving of alcohol only Wednesday to Sunday, and Wednesday being from 7 p.m. to close, which is midnight, and that time frame is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and 10 to 3 on Sunday. As I stated, we're currently 195 feet from door to door, from our door to New Hope's Baptist Church, but we do have a letter of support from him with this decision, and we wanted to bring it forward to you.
Also, I just wanted to add, I'm Samantha Porter. I just wanted to add 25% of our revenue is contingent upon the approval of this variance. So again, we are only operating with the beer and wine from Thursday through Sunday at particular timeframes. It's not the entire day. And then we only have a capacity of 24, so we don't expect to have a big audience there. It's a very cute, quiet little space that we have. And again, we're new owners, and we would be appreciative of being awarded this variance.
Did you say 25% of your revenue?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Patrons will not be allowed to leave with alcohol, and there will be no outside seating as
Let's bring it back to the board. Is there any questions for the applicant, or is there any motions? Caldwell, I'll let you go first, and then Bob.
I just want to make a comment. Obviously, most people know I was born and raised here, and the Sistrunk Corridor has come a long way from what it was years ago. And to see a new establishment come here, never met the gentleman, but I think it's a huge plus to the area. There are a couple other good restaurants, but they're just not enough. And I really like the item, especially with the support from the church.
Thank you. Doug?
Your lease says you can only serve certain days from 9 to closing. Doesn't say you can serve during the day or on Wednesday.
willing to make adjustments in that. We just didn't know that that was.
What's the average patron of the YMCA? Who frequents the facility?
We have the adults. They call it an AOA. I can't remember the acronym for it, but it's the like 65 and older, like 55 and older. And then there's also teenagers that frequent the YMCA, and then Broward College is there. And then there is, what's the name of that hospital? Holy Cross is there as well. So a lot of our patrons will be from the YMCA, and they're extremely excited because we talk to them a lot. We are there almost every day with the build out, and they're looking forward to having the opportunity to have like a glass of wine with their salads. We're not serving full bars. We would only be serving beer and wine.
Thank you.
Not yet. Jason?
Can I just ask staff a quick question? Is there, can we, if there's an approval, can we have a condition in the approval about the hours of the alcohol being served?
No, and I think that's pretty unusual for a special exception. So what you're dealing with is just a distance requirement. I think their lease agreement kind of handles the issues with regards to the times that they can serve.
Understood, but we also know the lease could be adjusted and it could be changed to be 12 to 12 for all we know. So I guess that would just be something to be aware of. If
Between them and the landlord, yeah. Pat?
I just have a comment for the staff to make. When I'm looking at the agent authorization form, I think you guys need to be a little bit more careful.
Anything else on the board? Bob?
I move acceptance of PON BOA 23110003, variance for section 5.-27, businesses establishments from a church or school.
So, matter of correction, this is a special exception approval. Was that your intent versus variance?
Oh, it's variance. Put a, what's the wording you want to see?
Special exception.
Special exception.
Exception.
Okay. Please correct that.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a couple seconds. So, Jamie, let's do, any discussion? Discussion? No? Okay, if everybody's set, we're going to get started. Just give us a thumbs up when we're ready to go. Okay.
Any water?
No, I'm good. We're getting started now. Okay. Next case. Case number 23110005, 301 Southwest 14th Way. We'll start with disclosures. Milton? None. Doug?
None.
Jason?
None.
Caldwell?
Site visit.
Pat?
None.
And site visit for myself as well. And Bob, while you're coming back? None? Okay.
I guess we could do a 49.49 foot lot, but that would be a little small, just not small in general, but comparatively. So we wanted to keep it at 50 feet, which is the general minimum lot width if you're not on a waterway. We just didn't want to go down below 50 feet.
I understand we're discussing the two southern lots,
Yep.
right? I'm not really wrapping my head around this whole thing. We have this quote-unquote non-historic house, we call it a historic house, move because we're gonna save the trees, but we wanna redo the lot sizes. And how does that whole thing mesh with itself? I'm not understanding.
We're
that.
trying to keep the house on the existing lot where it is, essentially. So
Okay.
instead, we're still going with 4 lots, but the lot that this house is on is going to be slightly bigger than you guys had already approved it.
And are you going to be adding to the existing house or building other structures on that lot where the quote-unquote non-historic house is?
No,
So you're just leaving a non-historic house on a larger lot,
correct.
okay?
Well, can we call the non-historic house architecturally significant? I mean, isn't that the one that's the beginning house?
Yes, it is the Bigany house, and I guess we can call it architecturally
Well,
significant.
it
We're
sounds,
keeping it.
sounds better than non-historic. I
That's
mean,
true. And the real point of, and this was in the staff reports when discussing the Bigany house, the real magic, I guess, of Bigany, and the neighbor who came out last time in support said this, the magic of a Bigany house is not necessarily the architecture. It's how it interacts with the land. And so I think what we're requesting tonight actually further, we were going to not do that, but what we're requesting tonight furthers that goal because we're, keeping the trees around it, keeping it situated where it was originally built and not relocating it. But yes, we can call it architecturally
Well,
significant.
it just sounds more positive.
That's true.
Okay.
Doug?
But the whole land and the pretty and the pool and the lifestyle part of the house is on the southern lot that you are getting rid of.
The pool, yes, and then there's a shed that was built a lot of years later after. They were just add-ons. But we're keeping the house as it was built with the surrounding trees as they were surrounding the house.
4.5 feet from a fence or something.
Could be, yeah. I mean, the alternative is that we remove all the trees and relocate it. I don't think anybody would be happy with that outcome, but that is the alternative. You know, we go in with what we did before and just remove a bunch more trees than we need to.
Okay, Jason?
No, I think it's a better solution,
Okay.
this proposed solution.
Thank you, I would agree.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Okay, seeing that we don't, thank you, Andrew. Let's bring it back to the board, and let's see if we can have a vote.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Is there?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's see if there's any
Can we
discussion.
have discussion?
Yes, discussion.
Is there any restriction that this house has to stay? Or we're just
Part of my motion that this is an amendment to a previously granted variance that had restrictions on it with respect to this particular structure.
Okay, I don't remember who the original maker of the motion was. I was. Okay, good, that made it easier. And there a second? Is it agreed? Okay. Is there any further discussion?
move the question.
No. Go ahead, Dwayne.
I was asking if the motion can be restated for the record.
Yes, sir. How would you like me to restate it? I could say that I mean, I know what we did last time.
Should it restate, or should we ask Jamie as far as how she has it at the moment?
Yeah.
Sure, put the pressure on
I'll
Jamie.
leave that to you, Jamie.
To approve that with the condition that the same variance apply.
So to approve the amendment,
Approve the amendment to the previously granted variance that required
and retaining all of the
retaining
restrictions.
the. What?
Retaining all of the restrictions previously imposed.
I have a question, because in the previous variance, the house was supposed to be moved
Right.
into a different lot. So to make it clear, I would rather have whatever you want on this variance before we
Not
approve
tied
it.
to the previous
Not,
one?
I mean,
Okay.
it would be much clean for everybody, in the future.
Okay, Pat, give it your best.
Regroup and try to make this make some sense. The motion then would be to approve the variance subject to the non-historic house or the structurally, the architecturally significant house being retained in place. That work?
Yes, and also rescinding the prior final order.
This final order only relates to what we're calling lots C and D. The other one also included A and B. So it wouldn't really be rescinding the order, it would be kind of supplementing, and anything that's in conflict, this one would control. Could also just amend the previous
I'm
one
thinking-
as to lots C and D.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
recommending, but your zoning administrator had an issue with that.
No, I think now after discussion,
Okay, so the motion is to approve the variance to amend the variance, whatever, you guys are gonna have to fill in the blank as to what the number of the variance was. With respect to lot C and D. But all other provisions of the originally granted variance control, or remain the same? Well, the original was only if this was moved and maintained, retained. And what I had, because I can recall specifically saying, well, if you're moving it and it falls off the truck, tough luck, you don't get your variance.
Right.
order rescinding all conflicting provisions and granting the existing provision. Requesting a variance allowing a minimum lot width of 56.25 feet for each lot, whereas the code requires a minimum lot width of 75 feet. So you're amending the same code section. The request is to amend the same code sections here as it applies to lots C and D. So if we're looking to amend the final order, you're amending it as to lots C and D only.
Yes, with a new condition that the house remain in place.
Okay, that works for me.
And of course, finding that the variance request meets the criteria of the code.
Correct.
Okay. So Jamie, do we kind of have all that together in a way?
To approve the amendment to the variance regarding lots C and D only, subject to the architecturally significant house being retained in place because it meets the criteria for a variance?
Yeah, I think the only thing that you're going to need on that is to fill in order.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mead?
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn?
Yes.
And Chair Othman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Andrew.
7-0.
Okay, next case, case number 23110006, 1908 Sunrise Key Boulevard. Let's look for some disclosures. Milton?
Don't have any?
Doug?
No.
Jason?
Nothing.
Bob? No. Caldwell?
Site visit.
Pat?
None.
And I did a site visit from the front, so I didn't see anything, but still a site visit. Okay, sir, please come on up, state your name, relation to the property.
Hello, I'm Andre Corbin. I'm the architect that designed actually the house on that property, 1908 Sunrise Key. I apologize, I couldn't, we've had some technical issues I couldn't project, but at 6.0 NAVD. So the owner, elected, I guess, to go halfway. So we dropped the house to 7.5 NAVD. And there was some confusion, miscommunication, I guess, and the dock was dropped as well to 5.5. We submitted the plans with 5.5. And, all went through, again, just because I believe it's, again, the confusion and like sudden change and all that with the codes. The house is done and CO'd right now at this point. And when we got the final survey for the dock, that's, again, a separate permit, that got flagged. No, well, the house is 7.5, that means you follow the 5.0 NAVD. I'm way above the required, which is 6, right? And the dock need to be at 5. And that's really variance about. So we're trying to get, again, the approval for that.
Okay, if that's it, don't go too far. I know there's going to be a couple questions. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this matter? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to have you stand there, see if you have any questions from the board. Does anybody from the board have any questions for the applicant?
So your dock is 6 inches higher than it's currently allowed by code.
That's correct.
Okay, Milton?
I just Does this have any impact on your adjacent neighbors?
I was able to communicate with the neighbor on the west, and she had no objection, Mrs. Green, her name. And I went down, the one on the west, I did talk to. On the east, I couldn't because I guess it was not there. I went down to 1933. Mr. David, he was okay with that as well. You know, I didn't see any objections. Again, I have pictures comparing. I'm not sure if you look at the pictures, it's really not that much higher than the neighbors, really. It's, you know, because again, it was approved at 7, I mean, I could have done it at 7.5 at that time. Now the code has actually changed again. We can go maximum 6, right?
One moment there, Bob.
So, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Bob, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move acceptance of, this is here, I just lost mine, of PLN BOA 23110006.
So, please state your name, relation to the property. Before you start, were you sworn in originally?
I don't remember if I got up.
Okay, just in case, if we could do a swearing.
Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give at this public hearing will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, I do.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Danica Blazanovic, and I'm here on behalf of the landlord who is applying for a special exception from the distance, required distance separation. If one person is drinking, they're going to go somewhere where there is a beer and wine versus coming to this place. So this would help them just stay in business and keep up with the expenses.
Okay, and just to clarify, what's your relation to the property? Are you the landlord, the tenant?
No, I've been selling liquor licenses in restaurants for 20 years, and I do the paperwork for yes, the liquor lady.
Okay, I guess that's a technical term.
I can tell you before you bring up, because you can see the history. The previous place, Bolicious, had a variance already. They were serving. Everything was in place. They even had the outdoor seating. Unfortunately, the manager of the place, who is no longer with the business, I spent probably 30 days here coming to the city to fix the business tax, to fix the fire department, to fix the seating, to fix the health department. Everything was wrong. So now, before you bring it up, we will apply for outdoor seating. Even the architect didn't have a digital seal, but I did it manually, and I submitted manually some things. So we are working on fixing everything.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Bring it back to the board. Anybody have any questions of the applicant?
Can you point out where the church is?
It's to the east of the.
It's a Lutheran church, right?
Yes, Shepherd of the Coast Lutheran Church. Yes. There is a street in between.
So it's right across the street, or it's down the street?
No, it's on the same side. It's down the street.
So it's right across 18th Street?
Yes. No, I think it's, yes, street, court,
Whatever, terrace?
terrace, yes.
Get your next caller.
I assume we're talking about a 3 COP license?
No, it's a beer and wine, 2 COP.
2 COP?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you reached out to the church?
I haven't, have you talked to?
That's right. Now we're going to have you state your name and.
Yeah, my name is Filomeno Giannino. I'm the owner of the restaurant. And we have a good relation with church because we go to church every Sunday. But I don't want to talk with them because I don't want to say please or give me something, because I want to just help the business and accommodate some customer to have some beer with pizza, some glass of wine with pasta. We don't want to sell a lot of alcohol, but just to accommodate some customer.
Thank you.
The reason I'd ask that is the lady that's presented it had made a comment about us approving the last one for distance separation, They came in with a letter from the church and the YMCA and everybody else in the world, and I look at this different. I'm not saying that it's a no, I'm just trying to understand better what we have. Thank you.
Okay, Doug, did you solve the question?
No.
Okay. Bob?
Statement, I would encourage you to, regardless of what happens tonight, go and talk to them. They're gonna be good neighbors and potential customers.
Okay.
I usually go to, when I go for distance separation for other businesses, for like another liquor establishment, but kind of in a church. I did not know that, so it would be like going to encourage them to drink.
We're cool people.
Yeah, but just keep in mind for any
Yeah.
future ones that part of it is saying that distances from establishments from church or school, which should normally be your first sign saying, maybe I should speak with them.
Okay,
Okay, so keep that for future.
thank you.
Yeah. Microphone, Doug.
Did you have the signs posted? I don't see any pictures of the signs posted.
Yes, they were posted actually the same day, the pictures were submitted. And they're still there.
Okay, and staff is saying yes, they were posted. Okay. Do we have any other questions? If not, entertain a motion.
Sure, I'll move to approve BOA 2311007 with the variance section 5-27.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Let's take a roll call.
Mr. Cooper?
No.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mead? Mr. Mead?
Yes.
Ms. Rathburn? Yes. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Hergopian?
Yes.
And Chair Elfman?
Yes, motion passes.
6-1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, case number 23110008, address 3314 Northeast 15th Court. Let's go with disclosures. Milton? Doug? Jason?
Nothing.
Bob?
No.
Caldwell?
Site visit.
Pat?
None.
And none for myself. Okay. Please state your name, relation to the property.
My name is Luz Schistel from Urban Domus. We are representing the owner,
Okay.
Mr.
And I'm going to ask the
Herman.
question that I asked everybody else just because people came in late. Were you sworn in originally?
No.
Okay. If we could swear in now.
Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give at this public hearing will be truthful and accurate? Thanks.
I do.
Thank you so much.
This is a construction for 1948. The house was having a fire damage in 2022. The owner is, of course, because of the fire damage, doing a remodeling of the house, an interior remodeling. None of the exterior walls or roof are going to be compromised or going to be remodeled. We have the problematic that we are going to transform, or we are going to change the use of the garage into a livable area, into a room and a bathroom. And it would be like a normal renovation, restoration, if we wouldn't have the problem that there's an encroachment, it's an existing encroachment. Is a very minimal. Instead of 5 feet that requires for the side setback, we have 4.6, and this is the variance this is the application we are doing.
Okay. I think there is going to be some questions going go far. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing none, close the public hearing. Back to the board. Is there any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, this, is it Coral Ridge Country Club, or what's the area?
Excuse me?
What area of town is it, Coral Ridge?
This is in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Yes, Fort Lauderdale.
You talked to the homeowners association?
No,
I suggest you do, just to,
no. There's no homeowners association.
there's no homeowners
No.
association in that area?
Not that we know. Mhm. We send the letters to the.
Well, there's the city of Fort Lauderdale has an extensive listing through the manager's office of those recognized and non-recognized homeowners association. And I just recommend you check and make sure what neighborhood you're in and reach out just to tell them.
Okay.
I do have one question. I noticed that we're 4.6 feet away. How did we get there originally?
Survey. The latest survey, the 4.6 feet in the right, in the east side of the setback, it's east setback of the property.
And I know you're probably not with the property since it was built, but how did we even originally get to a 4.6?
We had the microfilms. There was 4.8.
From title companies now, they're getting more stricter. If it's even half an inch, they're not closing on the properties. They're telling zoning, say this is good. They're coming to us and we say, listen, I can't say it's good. You have to go for a variance unless you obtain a variance on this property. In general rule. That's why we added not just enclosing. Also, we say, okay, you're going because in the future, if the title company, if anybody's trying to sell the house, that's where a lot of people are getting stuck. And the houses were made 40, 50 years ago. The surveying equipment were not, nowadays it's through satellite, which is, more refined. And, those days, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, I think the instruments were not that accurate, which is today.
I guess, let me further my question by asking, is this an as-built structure that's been there for years?
That's
And nothing's changed? We looked at
That's
satellite
correct.
views?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Pat?
Yeah, my question, I think, is for Dwayne. It's your night. I don't really have an issue with it being, it is what it is, it was built, it's there. My issue is, are they allowed to convert this to a legal residential structure? Is it zoned as a duplex or, because I think it's a garage, and if they want to change it into something other than a garage, is that permitted by the zoning code? Because they say in their answer is, proper modification of the garage into a room would not be an issue. It's quite common in the area to convert an existing garage into a room. It might be common, but it's not legal. So is this already been converted to a residential use?
No.
Okay,
So
so it's a garage.
It's the garage. It's the original existing garage.
My view, and I don't know, I didn't look at this particular section of the code, but I know that in my neighborhood, you can't have these. So what's the deal?
That's a question for the zoning administrator.
Okay. The code says they have to provide 2 parking. It could be in a driveway. It doesn't need to be within an enclosed garage. With them, I can see they have a 25-foot depth. The front yard setback is not an issue, so the 2 cars could be parked outside. Now, they are not telling us it's a second unit they are adding. They are not allowed to add a second unit. It's just a bedroom. They are converting the garage to a bedroom. Single-family home, and there cannot be 2 units. It's RS8 zoning district. It's just 1 unit. They're adding an extra bedroom. People, need.
Okay, so you're saying if it's a converted garage and it's used as a bedroom, it's not a second dwelling unit?
Yes, and we make sure that when we approve the plans, always, not just here, the general rule is we make sure that unit, let's say they can't enclose the unit has to have a door with an internal circulation. You see, they just can't close the behind of the garage, just have a door in the front, and, they can't.
Well, there's no access, there's no direct, the garage isn't connected to the house.
Yes, it's connected to the house. If
It's
you see the
connected to the house?
plans, with the existing garage you're talking about.
The
no?
one that you're asking for the variance,
Yes.
it's correct, it's connected to the house?
Actually, yes, it's connected to
Okay.
connected to the house at the moment. Yes.
Okay.
And just to clarify, they have to keep it connected with converting to a bedroom. They can do that, but it has to be connected. They cannot close the door and, have a separate outside entrance. In a single-family home, when we approve the permit, we look at it and say, you can't do this. Somebody can't go outside the house and come and enter a door.
And in her floor plan, in the proposed plan, she shows the reconfiguration of the garage, and there is still an access door from the living room into the new bedroom that they're creating with the new ensuite bathroom, it looks like. So it looks like an ensuite bedroom that they're converting the garage to, in the existing envelope of the garage.
Could they build a kitchen facility inside that bedroom? Could they do I'm just curious, because some cities don't. I'm just curious if they allow, Fort Lauderdale allows kitchen facilities in a bedroom suite like that.
This is a very tricky question. Usually,
cities don't
if
at
it's
all.
quack like a duck, looks like a duck, to us, it's a duck. So if we look at the intent and, that's where we go. I mean, I'm not lying, there are some very big houses where they want to have kosher kitchens, have seen, big houses, they might have 2 kitchens. I mean, but it's,
So it's basically a case by case. It's one of the things that they look at to determine whether or not they're
I'm just
creating.
curious,
Right, whether or not they're
Leather
creating a
job.
separate dwelling unit. And that's a huge red flag if there's an additional kitchen.
Okay.
But it's not.
Cool.
Give me one second there. Pat's still.
No, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay. Turn light off, Bob. Turn light off. Okay. Go ahead, Doug.
So if we're talking about enclosing the garage into a bedroom, which
Bedroom. If you see in the original plans, it's a bedroom.
I was talking about the
Ba-
building.
We're talking about the building behind, in the back, behind the pool.
Behind the pool.
Yeah, see, I thought that was the garage we were talking about, so
No.
I'm totally off on what we're,
No, the garage is incorporating the house.
I think it's not paved. I'd say it's just grass in the back.
okay.
Zoning administrator cleared that up for us. The freestanding structure in the back of the building has nothing to do with what we're voting on tonight. Am I correct?
Is it a structure?
In the site plan, there is a area that's not hatched that looks like a white rectangle. The board is asking if that is a structure, is that grass, what is that?
I don't have a clue, maybe the.
Yeah, I mean, normally this would say, if it was a building, it would say 1-story building, and it would, I mean, to me, this is a grass area as it is shown in the front next to the driveway. Everything with the brick pattern is pool deck and brick and driveway. And you can see how they represent a house on the survey with saying 1-story, and that would say that was a, you don't have a building in the backyard, do you?
If you see in the plans, in the photos, there's a building in the backyard, but doesn't belong to the house. No, it's a neighbor. The neighbor, that's it. But there's only the pool and some trees.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Pavers, trees.
If you look at the aerial in our packet, I think that clears it up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just trees back there and a pool.
Anything else, Doug?
No, thank you.
Okay, Milton, did you have something as well? Okay. Cobalt, you're still lit. Anything else? Okay. Any other questions? The applicant? Okay, thank you, ma'am. We're going to bring it back, and we'll entertain a motion.
Is this a waiver or a variance?
It's a variance.
Yeah. Let's see. Mr. Chairman, I'll move approval of PLN BOA 23110008. No, it's the wrong one.
No, that's right.
Is the right one?
Yep.
08, variance for section.
Next case, case number 23030003, property address 5560 Northeast 26th Avenue. We have, this is a request for a rehearing.
Oh, yeah, that's,
So do we have an applicant?
do we defer that or just,
Mr. D. Wayne, it was actually a request for a rehearing. We already had our hearing, so I guess the hearing sticks if nobody's here for a rehearing, right?
The board needs to dispose of the item. I mean, if you want to just vote to table it, that's fine as well.
And if we dispose of it, what's the technical term, dispose of?
If you want to just table the item indefinitely.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we defer PLN BOA 23030003 because applicant did not show, and table indefinitely.
Okay, so deferral is, at the end you said tabling. Deferral is
Well,
different than
deferral
table.
means tabling, the same thing. I said
All right.
Table
But
indefinitely.
indefinitely.
And he said indefinitely.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Discussion. How many times has this item been before us?
Twice.
How many times are we going to start tabling items or deferring them, whichever terminology we'd like to use?
Back to, I guess, my original question, D. Wayne, since it's brought up here too. How do we just make a final decision without indefinite deferral?
So tabling indefinitely just will dispose of the item, but it does reserve the right for the individual.
Before, so I'm not going to accept the call yet. So, you know, if the fact that there was a request for the rehearing, I assume that request came from an applicant who chose not to be here to be able to request the rehearing, right? I mean, where did the request for rehearing come from? How did it come? How did it get on the agenda?
So the applicant requested the rehearing via email by providing the request as per the code.
And chose not to show up to see if that would be granted, apparently.
So, just to clarify, the applicant came and met us, and he was, for 2 years, you can't do anything. And then one of the option, he said, what about if I reduce, what I'm asking here? So, we told them, then you can apply.
Going to have them come back, we should give them a date, one of the dates certain of one of the board, whatever
I
one,
would,
January,
for-
February.
I would rather have it from our end, we have to keep, maybe if you want to give a little time, no problem, but.
Okay, so what do we have right now? Do we have a full motion on the floor, a motion in a second?
Yes.
Okay, so right now we got to go with the motion in a second, unless anybody wanted to make a amendment to it, the motion maker?
Amended for February.
Yeah, a friendly amendment
I
to,
didn't put a date in there anyway, so I changed the February. It's fine.
Okay.
February 14th meeting.
Deferred. So it's a motion, all right.
Yeah, the February 2024 meeting, the motion maker said that, the second agreed. Motion to
Reconsider.
rehear it, okay. And we could do that?
Ready?
Go ahead.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mead?
We're voting on to,
A motion to reconsider the motion of approval.
Okay, yes.
Ms. Rathburn?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
No.
Mr. Hagopian?
No.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And Chair Elfman?
not yet, yes. Okay,
Okay.
so that passes now if you
So
want to.
that passes.
5-2.
Do you, I know everybody's tired and wants to go home, but I think that this, my problem with how the motion went down on the last one is that the neighbors are all really, really concerned about it. And the staff had already said that they wanted the variance tied to the plans as presented. And I think it would behoove us to do what staff asked us to do and make the motion for the approval of the variance for that one tied to the plans that were submitted as of today's date.
So do you want to make them as a
So
formal
that's my motion, that we, Dwayne, help me here. Do I amend the, or?
No, so the motion to reconsider has already been passed, so
Right.
this is going to be a fresh motion. So it would be a motion to approve the variances needed.
Okay. So the motion is to grant the